This is one of the most well-articulated pro-reparations arguments that I've ever heard.
On race. It's based on status. A black person who comes here from Nigeria or Jamaica or Brazil, they're not owed a penny from America. They chose to come here. We are talking about the people who are freedmen, the descendants of people emancipated by this country. We still know those people because you are one of those people. I am one of those people. A lot of those people here in the audience, I just told you I could break down my genealogy. My dear Nana was 101 when she died. My great-grandfather just died 3 weeks ago. He was 100. He remembers fighting alongside white veterans in World War II. He remembers coming back and seeing his white veterans get homes and lands and pensions and the door being slammed in his face. And we are going to say that America that says liberty and justice for all, that's okay, get over it, keep it moving. But we have to hear never forget for everyone else's tragedy. And as far as from where reparations will come, I need people to stop thinking it's going to come from their tax dollars. Look at all the trillions that America spends right now. We talk about inflation, the invisible tax. We have something called the PPP loans. Do we remember the PPP loans? America spent $6 trillion on PPP loans. You know what they just did? They canceled all of it. And we didn't even know. America gave the corporations, the banks alone, $29 trillion. You know what they did with that? They canceled all of it. So let's start acting as if America is as hamstrung by debt as they want to pretend.
I've seen a quote here on TikTok that says, white people should be happy that as black people, we do not want revenge, but rather peace and reparations. Which is true. Let me paint a picture for you. The main reason why they are so offended with this Land Expropriation Act, let me take it back. I was having a conversation with my lecturer. She is white, by the way, and she said the main reason why they are so offended with the Land Expropriation Act is mainly because that is what they know. Because if you look at academic spaces, which race dominates? That's mainly because us as black people, we see education as our only way out because we were not born in wealthy families. Our families did not benefit anything from the apartheid era, right? Stay with me now. Because I remember my lecturer telling me that telling me more about white culture, especially those who own farms. They are like, the minute you're done with matric and your family has a farm, especially if you're a boy, you work the family business. Obviously, you go work at the farm. Hence, we don't see majority of them in academic spaces, right? And also, the fact that there are black people who will come here on the internet and tell us, no, white people should keep the farms mainly because as black people won't be able to manage them. How dare you belittle your own capabilities? I also think that is one of the things that is holding us as black people back. They've damaged our minds to the point whereby we don't even trust ourselves anymore. And that is where the emancipation of the mind comes in. Steve Biko tried to tell us, the youth, that actually you are capable of doing something. You must be proud of your own culture. You must be proud of this. You must be proud of that as a black person. But it's like we have let the apartheid system take on take on so much effect to the point whereby even in language we start saying things like, oh, knowing your language is useless because it's not going to get you anywhere. No, black people, when you give them businesses, they tend to ruin them to the ground. We do not trust ourselves. That's where the problem comes in, especially with us as black people. It's like these people managed to get into our heads to tell us we are useless, and we just took the concept and we ran with it, unfortunately.
The white kid who didn't break the law, who never had any slaves, and his forefathers shouldn't be paying for someone who's a serial offender. Could we do that math? Would that be fair?
No.
Nope? Okay.
No. Absolutely. And the reason why, once again, because I'm
trying to find some common ground, because that white kid...
And I'm trying to tell you, you're trying to start the starting point right here when you're not factoring in what happened to get that kid in that low-income, impoverished environment that created the criminal that he ended up being.
Oh, my God. This is what we do. It's not crime, it's poverty. Then why do poor white people not commit violent crime at the same rate?
They do.
No, they don't.
It's just usually different types of crime.
No, they do not.
They do.
It's a fact, dude.
Y'all just shovel them all in the trailer
different types. They just different types of crime.
No,
and then they go off.
We don't shovel them in the trailer park. They still.
They go off in the hills and live amongst the rest of the toothless hillbillies, but they do.
You don't hear it.
Yeah, they just don't.
We're talking about statistical realities.
There's no cameras over there.
The young white male, when the young white male is the real threat to America as it stands.
You know what? You're right. I agree. You're right about that. Because young white males are going to be the majority with guns.
Hello guys, now this is one of the topics that we will be discussing today, and I really compiled good videos here, some of which will shed light on the same topic, and some of which maybe you'll find yourself not agreeing with the ideas shared here, but later on I'll be reacting to it, and I'll be also sharing my views and perspective concerning it. Make sure that you also let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of reparations for black people, because they really, were misused during that time. And what's your take as a black person, or as as a generation of people who ought to be be given that chance to at least be paid? Now I'll be reacting. Make sure that you do subscribe if you've not yet subscribed to this channel. Do like our videos, share our content. We're going to greatly appreciate. For now, let's jump in and see what we can unpack here, and then later on, don't be in a rush to leave. Just get to hear what I have to say about this, and I believe together we are going to learn and also edify ourselves. Let's jump in, people.
When white people in the United States balk at the idea of paying reparations to black Americans who descended from slaves, they disagree with the Bible. Reparations are a form of compensation or restitution made to those who have suffered injustice, particularly those in cases of racial inequality, discrimination, and slavery. The idea of paying reparations to black Americans is not a new one. It has been a topic of discussion for decades, if not centuries. However, it has gained renewed attention and support in recent years, following the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement and the growing recognition of systemic racism in American society. As a Christian, I believe that reparations are not only a matter of justice and equity, but also a reflection of God's character and values. In the Bible, we see numerous examples of God's concern for the oppressed, the marginalized, and the downtrodden. From the Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt to the ministry of Jesus among the poor and the outcast, we see a consistent theme of God's love for those who are on the margins of society. One of the key biblical principles that underlie the idea of reparations is the concept of restitution. In the book of Leviticus, we see God commanding the Israelites to make restitution to those whom they have wronged. Leviticus 6:1-5 says, "If anyone sins and commits a breach of faith against the Lord by deceiving his neighbor in a matter of deposit or security or through robbery, or if he has oppressed his neighbor or has found something lost and lied about it, swearing falsely in any of all the things that people do and sin thereby, if he has sinned and has realized his guilt and will restore what he took by robbery when he got it by oppression or deposit that was committed to him, or the lost thing that he found, or anything about which he has sworn falsely, he shall restore in full and shall add a fifth to it, and give it to him to whom it belongs on the day that he realizes his guilt." This passage emphasizes the importance of making restitution to those who have been wronged, and not just restoring what was taken, but adding to it as a form of compensation. This principle of restitution can be applied to the issue of reparations to black Americans who have suffered centuries of enslavement, discrimination, and systemic oppression. Another biblical principle that supports the idea of reparations is the concept of Jubilee. In Leviticus 25, God commands the Israelites to observe a Jubilee every 50th year, during which all debts are forgiven, all slaves to be set free, and all property to be returned to its original owners. This was a radical idea of economic justice designed to prevent the accumulation of wealth and power in the hands of a few, and to ensure that all members of society had equal access to resources and opportunities. The idea of Jubilee can be seen as a model for reparations in that it seeks to address the root causes of inequality and oppression rather than just treating the symptoms. By forgiving debts, freeing slaves, and returning property, Jubilee seeks to create a more just and equitable society, one in which everyone has the opportunity to flourish. As a Christian, I believe paying reparations to Black Americans is only a matter of justice and equity, but also it is a reflection of God's values and character. Through the biblical principles of restitution and Jubilee, we see a model for how we can address the historical and systemic injustices that have plagued our society for far too long. While the issue of reparations is complex and contentious, I believe that as Christians, we have a responsibility to seek justice.
Should Black people get reparations?
I believe they should.
So I, white man, have to play for Black people. Why?
Wow, that's a really selfish thing you
No,
just said.
hold on. Why should I have...
That's a really non-empathetic thing to say.
Why should I have empathy for a race? I have white guilt because I breathe? Why should the white students here have to work harder to pay for Black kids?
Hey, you wanted to ask
What is that all about?
Not every Black person has lineage connected to slaves.
That's
and
true.
every white person doesn't have lineage connected to slaves.
Yes, that's right. So since every Black person doesn't have a lineage connected to slaves, why should we generalize and say reparations for Black people?
Because there are people that are in a worse place.
So over 150 years, they didn't have any ability to make better decisions, to save money, and to invest. How about you take responsibility for your own actions instead of blaming the white man?
Now, hold on a second. I cannot agree with Charlie in this because I believe maybe he has a lot of friends and many people loved him the way he argued. But the fact that he says that these people are very innocent and they cannot pay back the Blacks who are here at the moment. Now, justice is all about sacrifice. And I mean, if you have this, then if I need to get justice, I have to get it, regardless of the situation at the moment. And you know, those people, he's saying that the whites who are here at the moment, they cannot pay Black kids because the people who ought to be given these reparations are the Blacks who, you know, were there before. And these people are very innocent. The whites that are right now, the current whites right now are very innocent. But he forgets that the Blacks who were there before, they were also innocent, but they were taken. And no one cared about their innocence. No one cared about how they felt about it. So if we had to give anyone justice here, then we must do what is necessary. Now let's continue watching. I'll be back later on and share a lot of more of my thoughts and perspective concerning this.
True. Not one Black person alive today was enslaved in America. That is true. Black people are wanting free stuff. Okay, I don't know. I want free stuff, so I guess white people want free stuff too. Reparations isn't about someone who had been enslaved and now is not enslaved. We had a chance to do that, and we blew it back in the 1880s and 90s. So 40 acres and a mule, for some it was more, for some it was less. 40 acres and a mule is what was promised to those working on plantations. That never happened. Then sharecropping. Then all the Jim Crow. All of those things prevented Black Americans from establishing any kind of generational wealth up and until the Civil Rights Act. Now, we can argue for a really long time that the Civil Rights Act didn't clear everything up. It didn't. But at least it was now illegal to discriminate. So I want you to think about if your family and ancestors had to start at 1964, where you and your family would be today. How would you have paid for college? Would your family have been able to help you with that? Where would you have lived? Reparations is about making up for what wasn't given then, which could have propelled that community into wealth today. We are finally seeing Black Americans with multi-generational wealth starting to emerge, and it's only going to keep on going, and that's great.
I 100% agree that the United States owes the Black community reparations, and this is why. It's not about white people owing Black people. It's not about white people being punished for the sins of our ancestors. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about white people standing in solidarity with a community that has suffered grave, egregious injustices at the hands of the United States government. But first, we must decenter ourselves in this conversation, alienate ourselves from our privilege, and hold the United States institutions and systems accountable for the wrongs that they never rectified. From slavery to Black codes, to convict leasing, to Jim Crow segregation, to anti-Black housing policies, to mass incarceration, we have never rectified our wrongs as a country. If you look at our criminal justice system, 1 in 3 Black males carry convicted felon label. That is a real stat. Is it because they're inherently evil, or they just need more personal accountability, or is there something larger at play? All the data shows, by every statistical measure, the Black community has been disproportionately impacted by every institution or system in the United States, from education to healthcare to criminal justice system to banking to housing, which we still have de jure segregation in effect today. And when it comes to housing, neither parties are absolved from this because both parties were responsible for the de jure segregation that we see today. The New Deal by Franklin Roosevelt didn't invent the segregationist practice of housing, but it did institutionalize it. Restricting access to capital for Black families while enriching white families, the big reason why we see the generational wealth gap we see today. And remember, public housing wasn't initially for poor people, it was for working class white families. But because of laws and policies implemented by the United States government, it reinforced segregation because public housing was to reflect the racial composition of the existing neighborhood. And we had redlining and gentrification of neighborhoods, the residual effects of all these policies that we still see today. Reparations is about rebuilding and investing in the Black community. Our government was held accountable to some extent for the grave injustices that we committed, the atrocities that we committed against Native Americans. We were also held accountable for the Japanese internment camps. But the United States government never made good on its 40 acres and a mule to the Black community. Everybody else got paid. The United States was held accountable for these injustices. I'm a convicted felon. I had to pay a debt to society, to the United States government, to the state of Florida, for the crimes that I committed. I was held accountable. To this day, my past is still being used against me. In fact, if I were to go before a judge today, the first thing he would do is bring up my past and say it's probably a pretty good indicator of what my future will be. But we don't keep that same energy for our government. We don't hold them to the same level of accountability and to the same level of scrutiny. So if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know anybody, you're absolutely right. But our government does. And as citizens of the United States who uphold the Constitution, it is our duty, it is our responsibility to hold our government accountable. As taxpayers, as citizens of the United States, we all pay, not just white people. Anytime there's an injustice in the United States by a government agency, whether it's the police department, sheriff's department, any government agency, the taxpayers are always the ones that foot the bill. Why? Because in America, we believe in justice, or at least we say we do. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, I'm sure we can all agree that our government is corrupt. Stop allowing them to make us turn on each other. What better way to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters than to advocate to make right what has been wrong and never been rectified? People ask me all the time, what are my solutions to the problems that I speak on? Well, I can assure you that this would be a step in the right direction. This is the pathway forward. Reparations in America today.
Welcome back again. And you know, I get to understand that a lot of times when this topic comes, it is packed with a lot of controversies, and also itself is a controversial topic, and many people don't like talking about it simply because it brings a certain kind of discomfort, especially to the people who are responsible, you know, to make it happen. Now, let's talk of these black people who received these injustices, who received this discrimination. At least for those who are here, for the white who are here at the moment, they have a head start. And when it comes to economic, development, they are better off than black people because they have a head start. But back then, look at those people, the kind of life they undergone, and how resilient they were. They were very patient, and even after slavery was ended, they still believed that these people are going to come and pay us for the injustices that they've been doing to us. If you look at people like Martin Luther, you've also heard a speaker in one of the videos that I shared here talk of him. He championed for this, and it's a talk that has been here for centuries and centuries. And I believe if the United States government needs to prove itself that it really works for justice, if it really stands for equality, if it really stands for equity, then there are these Americans. And you know the group of Americans that I'm talking about here, my black people. If they really mean what they say in the Constitution, then this should have happened way long time ago. It shouldn't have been a topic that we keep on talking about it each and every time here and there, each and every moment that we keep on bringing it. And we're not going to get tired of talking about it. I'll talk about it today. I'll also talk about it tomorrow. I'll also talk about it till the day I'll not have, the chance and opportunity to talk about it. Because I really feel there is an injustice going on somewhere. And I cannot sit down and, just assume that it is not happening. Like a lot of stuffs that keep on happening, and also the racism that keeps on going, and we tend to forget, and we tend to I think man has the propensity to forget very fast. And we also assume maybe because it has not happened to us, it is not happening anywhere else. But I choose to stand with my black people. I choose to stand with them. I choose to talk about this. And I choose not to shut my mouth until we make it known to every person. Until everyone knows that black people have not yet been paid and they need to be paid. I think this is going to, impact the economical, their economical development. It is going to help them big time. Maybe some people may say that we don't want to pay them because we are not the ones who caused this harm. It is our parents. But remember, if you really mean what you keep on saying, I usually see some people talk about unity of white and black people. I also get to see a lot of people who talk about is it unity, or yeah, they usually talk about forgiveness from the black people. But you know, forgiveness comes at a cost. You have to sacrifice for you to be forgiven. You have to prove yourself worth of the forgiveness. If you need to forgive, if you need me to forgive you, then you must show me that you really need that forgiveness. You must take a step to come to me and talk about it and tell me, you know what, Shadrach, we were not in good terms. We didn't end our talk well, and I'm really sorry. And maybe you come with something small, let's say even a milk that we can share together, and tell me, I thought of coming with this drink so that we can share together and talk about this matter that we have here. We talk about this issue that we have in between me and you. And I'll sit back and, you know, say, man, he took his time and, you know, maybe went ahead. Doesn't have it doesn't need you to come with any drink, but you took your time. You took your moment of, you know, introspection, and you really thought you never did well. You never did a good stuff to me, and you come to me and you say, let's talk about this, man. How can we make it, you know, better? Now I'll look at you and I'll know that this guy really deserves the forgiveness. It's not just words, but it's also actions. Can you show black people that you really need this forgiveness? Give them reparations. Pay them for the injustices that they have received, maybe from the gone generation. And then now you can sit down in one table of brotherhood and talk about love, talk about unity, talk about building the country. And I get to wonder, all these reparations, they still going to benefit the very American economy, because these are American citizens. They are going to, you know, work with that payment and still bring it back to the government, because they're still paying taxes. They are citizens. It is still for the benefit of the country. But you find like people don't want to talk about this, and you've seen even from the debates that I've shared there, and also from different speakers that you've seen there, some of them, they are really not okay with this kind of topic. But we ain't gonna shut up. We're going to talk about it. Now, these are my few remarks concerning this. I don't know what you think, you as a black person. What is your take concerning this? Or you as a white person. Now let's, you know, look at things the way they should be looked at. Let's not sugarcoat anything here. Let's look at it and, you know, face it head on. Let's not, you know, use bushy paths. Let's use a clear path and, you know, address this matter that we have at hand. Tell me of your thoughts. Tell me of your views concerning it. You as a black person, you as a white person, you know, it's all for the cause of the American nation. Remember, black people are American citizens. They are Americans. The founders of the American economy. and they're still going to bring it back to the country. So why don't you want them to have it? So that this grudge that we have here, if we are to address racism, if we are to address this division between white and black, then we need to get to the roots of the cause of this. And everyone knows the roots. Sometimes we just pretend to not know where the problem is, but we know where it is, and we choose not to address it the way it is. Now, share your thoughts and comments in the comment section. I'll be here that we may have a very impactful talk about this. And please, if this was your first time, thank you so much for tuning in. And also, you can also consider supporting us by simply subscribing. Give us a like, share our content. We are going to greatly appreciate, man. Thank you also for our returning subscribers. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you for your unending love for this channel, and always getting in and seeing what we have here. I'm really hoping to see you in my next video, but until then, please stay safe, support a brother, support a sister, support black community, support black businesses, support black kids, extend a hand where it is needed, and also stand for justice. Goodbye, my people, and I love you so much.